Windmill Lane in Dublin came to Lumiere Studios to help on their Strongbow commercial, to help specifically to do the fluid interactions, fluid dynamics and the rendering. They're very particular in getting realistic fluids and realistic rendering. So of course we chose RealFlow and their renderer Maxwell. It's all CG. It starts with an arrow being fired at a bottle of Strongbow, which you perceive to be a real bottle. When the arrow hits, it explodes into millions of droplets, which of course is done in RealFlow and then wipes full screen. We actually had reference of real exploding fluid of real arrows being fired, and we dissected the fluids into sort of various locations, as in rear explosions, front explosions. When the arrow hit, there was forces rippling up the bottle. So the first thing to do was to dissect the bottle and the fluid interactions into several areas, almost like you would put together like a comp. You'd have various layers, and that's how we approached it in RealFlow. So for instance, to begin with, instead of filling up a whole bottle with fluid, we would take just the front section, fire an arrow into it and try and get a force of fluid coming back towards you, cut out the section we needed to one side, and then do the back part exploding, and same again, cut it out for later. There's a great tool in RealFlow called filtering, where you can select various particles and almost like you can cut things out. So if you don't want to use all of the particles, you can say, I like that explosion there, but anything with a less speed or a less position, cut out. So that way we could almost edit the areas we liked and then bring it all back together and mesh it to make the final piece. Maxwell Render is perfect for this project. It's great for photo real looks, especially for this project. We also used another Next Limit product called the RealFlow Render Kit. Now, instead of normally you'd mesh your particles within RealFlow and bring them into your 3D application, with the Render Kit you could mesh at render time, which saved lots of pre-processing of meshes, sending data across the server, all these things. And the great thing about Maxwell is you didn't really need to think about the mesh. You could just have your particles in your scene, and when you had your interactive Maxwell window, you could just see the mesh at render time. The lighting and shaders was just incredibly quick with Maxwell. Drag and drop shaders on, drag and drop an HDR or some white highlights in your scene. Bang, done. No wasted time on photons, anti-aliasing, anything like that. It just all worked perfectly. Without RealFlow, it would have been very difficult to do this project. There would have been a few other techniques, but RealFlow just made it so much easier to use. Not only have I been using it for a couple of years and have a great relationship with Next Limit, but the product itself is very quick, very intuitive, works great with our 3D software, and of course, Maxwell Renderer. The two are seamless together, which is just perfect for this commercial.